Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Fair Life with Andrew McKee. It's Monday again, and we're back. Yeah, I'm really so happy with how well last week's show went, especially with the video and the stream and everything. It was so good. Such a such a good feeling with the new video card, everything. Hey, great to see all of you. I mean, Jan and Katsrita and Kevin and Kurt and Damaris, um, and yeah, and Kat. Yeah, great to see you. It has been, and Tanya. Hey, so yeah, the video card, huge success. And for those of you keeping score, in case you're interested, here you go. Here you go. Here's the card that I got. It's a EVGA 3060 Ti, and yeah, just it's more power than I actually need, but for the price, bang for the buck, really works well. And I went ahead and undervolted it like crazy, and it saved about 50-60 watts of power when it's running at full. So that is really good stuff. I'm very happy with it. And yeah, so and yes, Alicia is making the point that it's not a ploy to get them to sponsor us. I really don't think that we're quite the channel for EVGA, to be honest. But hey, if they want to throw money my way, I will not say no. And hey, Mark, great to see you, and Christopher. Yeah, definitely an interesting time because I'm still doing a lot of testing, but sorry about the last show. I hope you enjoyed it because I went a little crazy just looking at the numbers, trying to figure out what worked and what didn't with the new setup. A lot of changes, but this time I can concentrate on cool stuff. So that's what we're going to try to do. Yeah, no, yeah, Alicia's all about wanting an upgrade too. I think she's suffering from video card envy, but luckily it's a green box, so yeah, it works for the envy concept. So anyway, yeah, right. We do accept donations of computer parts. Alicia's definitely open to that. Now, I don't know how many of you had to deal with the cold of last week. It certainly affected everyone here in Austin. Definitely had some power fluctuations throughout the week, and it was a little tough. Let's just say I kept a lot of stuff off. So yeah, but we're through it now. In fact, I wore shorts today. Oh, it was nice. I love the 70s. So good, so good. And that's the only time you'll ever hear me say I love the 70s, because that decade is horrible. But the temperature, good. Oh yeah, and I did see that, Jan, that you lost power for 2 days. That is not easy. And yeah, Katsurita, because you're in Arkansas now. Yeah, and that is definitely a new type of cold. I am totally going to admit I am a temperature wuss. It is true. So yeah. Balmy in Pennsylvania. Although balmy for you, probably yeah, I'm sure to us it would be a blizzard. Because yeah, it's so, everything's so relative, and I am a temperature wuss because I have lived here for way too long. And hey Healy. So yeah, everything is always interesting. Oh wow. So yeah. Oh, and Janine didn't have canceled. So that is good. That is good. Kind of back to normal, so always good. Yeah, winter, well, let's just say the first line of Richard III is close to my mind. Now is the winter of our discontent. So, and speaking of discontent, some of you may have noticed that, well, if some of you caught the Grammys the other night, you may have noticed that I mentioned that, I think this was last summer in July, I mentioned that Beyonce was putting out a new CD called Renaissance, and it was going to make searching online a horrific chore. And I was right, it did. In typing anything Renaissance in search, in Google search or whatever, brought a lot of Beyonce results, especially early on. So it caused a problem. Well, it's only going to get worse, because that album won the Dance Electronic Music Grammy. So yeah, so she very talented, but gosh, that name is going to make it rough. Um, so that's going to be a tough thing. So whenever you're typing Renaissance anything, make sure you put as many qualifiers after that, as many specific words after that to try to bypass Beyonce, because anything Renaissance music, it's going to go to her first for a while. So really tough, really tough. Uh, yeah, yeah, not easy. But we're not even done there. It gets worse. It gets much worse. Because just when you thought that that was going to be it, Google decided to make an announcement today. Um, yeah. Well, some of you may be familiar with a program called ChatGPT. And that has been a Microsoft thing for a while, that they invested in it and have been using it. And a lot of buzz about using it for their Bing search engine. Well, they've also been getting some bad press because academics have been looking at it saying, how can we tell if a student is cheating by using that to create a paper? Essentially, how it works is you type in a description of what you want, and with text, it puts it out. Like, I want a 5-page paper on the history of the Renaissance period. And assuming it doesn't come up with information about Beyonce, it will come up with it will give you a 5-page paper on that. That's, at least it gets the data and makes it fairly original, so that it's not direct plagiarism. So yeah, it's created a huge ethical dilemma in the industry, and Google, of course, doesn't like Microsoft getting all the press, so they came out with their version and announced it, and it is called Bard. I know. So from now, and it's Google. So they're going to make that the top of every search result for a while. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So what that means is, if I type in the Irish Bard, who I am, in Google, it's probably going to be Google Bard for the first few pages before it even comes to anything relating to me. Yeah, it's going to be a problem. And it's not just text, because Google is also working on something called Music LM. They are keeping it under wraps, as far as they're not releasing it to the public, but they have announced it and shown some examples. And I think they're probably going to integrate that with Bard down the road. That's part of their strategy, but it creates music from a text description. And one of the examples they gave was enchanting jazz song with a memorable saxophone solo and a solo singer. And it creates it. Now, the lyrics are all gibberish. They're called vocalizations, not vocals. But as far as background music, it kind of works. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting future, to be sure. Be sure. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Kat. The names are a bit unfortunate, and it's going to be it's going to be promotion-wise, it's going to be a tough road ahead for myself. And I'm sure Damaris is not happy too, since she is looking at promoting herself as a bard in the future. So, um, oh wow, yeah. Never easy. This is just going to make things so much more complicated, but that's never easy. But it gets even weirder than that, because we also have a situation with Stable Diffusion. Now, that's the artistic one. That Stability AI is the company that they created, and it's going to be a thing, because, well, yeah, it's an issue, because what this is going to do is, okay, well, let's first talk about what Stability AI is. Essentially, you type in a phrase of what you want. Like, I want a picture. I think the classic view on Wikipedia is, I want a picture of an astronaut riding a horse, and it creates one out of thin air. Now, Getty Images, a company, just sued them, and a few other people have sued them too, because what they do is they harvest all these images to kind of use as models to train itself. And some of those are copyrighted. So it's kind of a big deal. Now, let's go ahead and let's bring in somebody who can give us an artist's perspective. I mean, I'm an artist as a musician, but not as a painter or draw. I don't do that. I can't do that at all. And I have a lot of respect for people who can. And one of those happens to be our good friend Alacia. So let's see. Let's bring her in here. And oh, there she is. Oh, and she's covering her mouth with one of her own pieces of artwork right there. I like it. I like it. Is that some sort of political statement where you're saying your art is hushing you somehow, or
I don't
forcing you
know.
not to speak?
I feel like the AI is censoring the artist, and I have a lot to say about AI. But can I just take a minute? For being on top of the news here, apparently Jan has told me that I guess I've been mentioned in the Renaissance Festival Awards.
Oh, good.
It's second year in a row that I've just been completely out of it. So last year I had COVID. This year I've been dealing with other health problems, and January is not a good month for me, apparently. But
I understand.
Yeah, so funny that. But no, I have a lot of issues with art because many of you really just go to a Renaissance festival and you will meet so many artists, from the people who literally just make art to hang on the walls in the Castle of Muskogee. Fun fact, I've painted an entire wall in the Castle of Muskogee to look like the brick again, the
Wow.
stone.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
The men's privy in the Italian quarter was also painted by me.
You painted the men's privy?
I was site crew for a couple of years for 2 seasons, I think, back to back as a painter. So, but there are so many ways that art touches the Renaissance Festival people, and you have all these amazing artists who get patrons, literally actual people who will spend money that this artist can live and do commissions. And
my experience, I mean, as an outsider, but I've been surprised to learn how much of an artist's income at Faire is through commissions. I would have thought it was just through direct sales in a shop, but actually they make a good percentage of their money from commissions, right?
Yeah, I mean, you fall in love with an art style, and then, I mean, for instance, right now, something I'm doing is I have a friend whose art style I love, and I am slowly commissioning her to do an entire sleeve of tattoos for me. And that is something that, the release to get it tattooed on your body if your artist isn't a tattoo artist, for example. Or even just, hey, I'm playing D&D and I'm playing this really cool orc character with chartreuse eyes. Not that I know anything about that. But you would reach out to an artist and say, hey, I've got your commissions are currently open and it's $60 for a black and white shaded drawing. Here's $60. That is huge. I know a lot of artists that forget the prints. The prints, by the time we pay our printmaker, by the time we really get out there, it's the original stuff. It's just in drawing and in paintings, it's the originals that do it, because that's what people, I think, really want. And when we had the whole thing a couple months ago where everyone was suddenly their Facebook portrait was this new, AI generated, look at me, I'm a fantasy elf.
Right.
I get it. A lot of people don't have the money to spend 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, $100 to commission an artist the way they want to. But when you have this opportunity to do something for free, you're never going to. You're going to continue to not, basically. And then that's before we even start talking about how all of these artists have effectively had their art ripped off without knowing.
Right. Well, let's
Yeah.
talk real quick about the lawsuit itself, because Getty Images, well, several people have sued them. Some artists on DeviantArt, but recently Getty Images just solidified their lawsuit, and it's interesting because they really describe what the problem is. Now, for those of you that don't know, Getty Images is was founded by Mark Getty back in 1995, and yes, he's the grandson of John Paul Getty, the who started Getty Oil back in the early 20th century. So yeah, it's definitely a big name, but he just came in at the right time and started creating a stock image company back in the early days of the web, and buying up all of these different small companies that owned the licenses for images. You know, whether it's a picture by Margaret Burke White, or a picture of Einstein or whatever. That buy those up and be able to have them all in one location where media organizations or individuals can license them. Now, they kept buying up their competition for the last few decades, and nobody sued them because they don't overcharge and they give a great service that everybody wants. So that's
I
sort of the
mean, not
gist of
I,
it.
I'm not a big fan of monopolies, but aren't they really
Yeah,
just the ultimate patron? Like,
yeah. I mean, there a lot of photographers do pretty well with them. So, but their lawsuit is saying that Stability AI, they accuse them of a brazen infringement of Getty Images' intellectual property on a staggering scale, without permission or compensation. And as part of its efforts to build a competing business, which is true. They're trying to sell images to media and whatever, just like Getty Images is, by stealing their artwork to use as at least a training mechanism. Of course, my view of this, and I'd love to hear your view of this after I'm done with my statement, but my view of this is the gist of it is, what is fair use? I mean, is this fair use to just look at an image, analyze it, and then delete it afterwards, but the analysis still exists? And you know, generally, my view of fair use has always been for somebody who should be able to use it as an individual. It's not for a business to make money off of somebody else's work. If you're, and that's the whole crux of this lawsuit. It's that this company is taking their work and trying to make a competing business based on it, and they can show damages. So, and that's really the key to any type of lawsuit. You've got to show that you were wronged and you were hurt, and they're doing it pretty well. So, I think it's gonna work. Now, long term, AI is here. It's not going anywhere. Eventually, they're going to find other public domain images to train it, and it's going to keep going. But in the short term, they're taking a lot of shortcuts, and arguably illegally. So that's my take on it. I mean, go with it. What do you think?
it's definitely a question of what is inspiration when you start talking about computer programs. Like,
Hmm.
it's one thing for someone to be inspired by, like, honestly, I'm gonna toot my own horn here. This one, inspired by Monet and his lack
Hmm.
of use of blacks. Like, but is this like me trying to replicate a Monet painting? No, absolutely not. Um, Inspired by the Northern Lights versus trying to take something and kind of copy and paste it into it. I'm a big Star Trek fan. I'm all for a future where we have, you know, amazing androids that can feel. Like, I'm not necessarily scared of it in the egalitarian concept. Unfortunately, we live in a horrible capitalist hellhole. Let me throw some of my political moments there, but we live in this capitalist society where we're not taking it to better art. We're not taking it to better understand art or create these studies that allow us to come up with something wonderful and beautiful. These companies are taking it to make money.
Right.
And if a little potter who does stuff inspired by Tolkien can't do that because, God forbid, her prancing pony mug is gonna cost the Tolkien estate something. Sorry, recent artist that I saw taken down for what we assume. They did not speak of this. This is conjecture. This is opinion and conjecture. But my point is, and it has nothing to do with the mug I just picked up. I was actually going to grab a cup of water. Totally different person.
Okay.
If small companies can't do it, then why the heck are big companies going to be allowed to do this? Why? Just like, and on top of it, I think it's interesting that in the best ways, robots are supposed to be making our life better. Like in the best sci-fi, it's about how robots make our life easier, make our life better, improve the lives of people who are disabled, for example, new robotic arms for people who've lost their arms. But instead, these companies are going after one of the least organized and least like unionable groups of people. They are attacking artists who ultimately we're all kind of out for ourselves, and it stinks.
I guess the question is, can the market adjust? I mean, I think back to when the stage transitioned to movies, and you had stage work and all these actors on the stage, and then movies came out, and you filmed like one play, and it just kept showing, and you were done. The actors were out of it, and it took several decades for legally for the unions to kind of get together and be created, and the Screen Actors Guild and all of that to kind of become a thing, to correct and adjust for it. And but this is a little different in that it's mostly mechanical. I mean, there aren't people in this new industry except some coders, and even then, when do those even stop being an issue? So it's tough to say.
We're definitely
how can a few coders
situation.
replace an industry of millions of people? And
I mean,
they?
I firmly believe we will always have artists. It's something we've had since the dawn of civilization, basically, as
Right.
far as we can tell. The human desire to create art is something just so ineffable and beautiful and wonderful. The problem is I see a lot of industry jobs like graphic designers just not existing in the near future, at least in the immediate future. You get the whole, well, why should I pay you if I can make someone, a machine do this? It's, why should I pay you $20 when I can pay Joe $10,
Right.
And then another interesting thing that you see is in the decline of civilizations. I'm going to throw my degree here around a little bit here. In the
Wow.
decline of civilizations, you see art go from this beautiful, amazing, intricate thing at its peak, and then you see it drop off sharply. You see great examples of it in the Mycenaean civilization. Like they're learning and teaching themselves styles of art, and the art becomes more stylized and finer and more beautiful, and it hits this amazing peak of some of these artifacts that we have. Everyone thinks of like the snake goddess, and it's wonderful. And then you see these pieces where the human face loses more form and loses more form, and these things that are supposed to be realistic. I'm not saying that like forms that are not realism are not valid, because I'm not a realistic painter either necessarily, but these things that are supposed to be realistic just drop off in quality, and it turns into a whole thing. And
So you're kind of predicting it's all downhill from here? Is that kind of it?
I call it late stage capitalism for a reason.
Okay. Well, that's fair. Well, okay. That's let's end it on a nice optimistic note. I like that.
I'm such an optimist.
Yeah. Okay. That's an interesting comment from Healy. Look nice, but they were lacking personality that I see in many pictures made by humans. That's a good point. It is a little.
I will say that the artists are fighting back. A lot of artists, when they're posting stuff with like smeared faces just to mess up the AI as best they can, and I'm here for it.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Huh. Well, yeah. I mean, anybody watching now and on YouTube and Facebook, please, check out. Let us know what you think. If you
And
have an opinion on this, or if this is just something like, not my deal. Okay, that's fine too.
and support your local artist as best you can. If you can't
Right,
afford a Patreon, I know most of them love tips. And
right.
I mean, we're all artists. Let's be real. Like, your medium is in music. One of my mediums is in storytelling. Like,
Mhm.
we're all artists. So, art is cool.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely amusing. And you're right, Liz. They are definitely going to court. Uh, right, right. And Katri, you're totally right that hands have always been a problem for AI. You know, sometimes you just add that sixth finger. It happens. Definitely happens. But they do keep getting better, and that's the thing. They improve every few months. They get better. So yeah, yeah. Right, right. Disney music over bad protests. Always. Yeah, I found it interesting when the police were doing copywritten songs and broadcasting that, so people trying to take video of their actions can't can't post it easily. Really gets
I
crazy
need to
these
start
days.
doing that, like, every time I see someone blocking a path with their TikTok video.
Oh, don't get me started on TikTok. I mean, that's yeah. I'll have something to say on TikTok next week for sure because
Hmm.
there's a lot of interesting new stuff going on with TikTok just over the last couple of days, and it'll be continuing for a while. So yeah,
The things we don't think we're
definitely
going to cover in a show about the Renaissance world, like, or the
right.
Renaissance Festival world, just the stuff that comes up.
Well, I mean, TikTok. I mean, it's hard not to go to a Ren Fair and not see TikTok video after TikTok video after TikTok video taking place,
I mean, you went viral there for a minute. Unfortunately,
right?
the person didn't tag you, but
Well, you know. But that's okay. It is still it was fun. I mean that's if somebody wants to take video of me doing my job, okay, I'm fine with that. I have no problem. If they want to be goofballs, hey. But still, it's just weird because it life it ceases to become something to enjoy, and it turns into something to be staged. I mean, they don't go to Ren. Some people just don't go to Ren Fair for fun. They go to Ren Fair to create a viral video. And it's a strange concept. I'm not quite. I just don't understand. Um, but hey, everybody has different motivations, so be it. Um, well, you're right. I mean, I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can tag me on TikTok from another somewhere else. Maybe,
yeah, yeah, good point. I didn't even think about that, but still.
but yeah. So that's
So,
fair.
Andrew, apparently you need to be on TikTok, just like, I mean,
That will be a big, big, big no
it,
because
it worked for Jacques the Whipper.
well, I mean, at this rate, especially, I'll talk more about that next week, but at this rate, especially after a particular balloon that was recently blown up, I don't see TikTok lasting much longer in the US, since it's already been banned at how many universities and government organizations and anything. Yeah, I don't, I think its days are numbered. I'm just gonna, at least in the US.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, okay. Well, thanks for the input, and hopefully, artists will get a second wind. Here's hoping. But yeah, let's jump on over to. Let's. Yeah, I think I want to go ahead and jump on over to a new segment. Well, kind of new. I've kind of. Oh dear, people are talking about me being on TikTok, and that is frightening. Yeah, I don't know. We'll brainstorm about that. I don't know. Put a pin in that, maybe. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, let's go to a new segment I've been kind of working on. I kind of like this. Well, I've kind of done this a little bit in the past, and I, well, I mean, you've definitely definitely seen bits of this before, and oh gosh, really, really, you too, Alicia, at two, really, really. Oh, okay. I'm jumping into this segment, and that will take care of it because this segment is wait for it. This segment is the Renaissance tune of the month. That's right, the Renaissance tune of the month. Now, I've dabbled in this a few times last year just to kind of try it out and see. And I even did the song that we're doing this month in one of them before, but I didn't dive into it near enough, and I wanted to start off right. So here we go. That we'll call that the pilot and episode, and this is the actual first episode, episode 1 of Renaissance Tune of the Month. So let's go ahead and see what we have as far as that goes. What tune it actually is. We'll show. Okay, it's oh wait, it's almost on none such. There we go. None such it is. So something to enjoy. Now, none such is a well, it is a classic tune from the 1600s, early 1600s probably, and was first appeared written down in the first Playford book, 1651. So really has a big name for itself and is really popular at Ren Fair. Very popular. It's hard to go to a fair and not hear it. Usually dancing with it as well. But yeah, none such is named after. Well, here, let's go ahead and take a look here. It is named after Nonsuch Palace, which was started to be built by Henry VIII in 1538. And, well, it was considered a celebration of the power and grandeur of the Tudor dynasty. I mean, this was considered a hunting lodge, but Henry wanted to make it a hunting lodge like no other before. He spent at least £24,000. That's of 16th century money. These days, that would be at least well over £10 million. And it is so richly created. I mean, it is crazy beautiful. Now, before you start getting your travel arrangements together because you want to see this place, can't do it. It was demolished in the late 1600s. So very much a shame. But they destroyed a village of Cuddington near Epsom Wells in Sussex to make it. Spent years making it, and none such. The name was put there to mean it had no equal. There is none such that can compare. So yeah, that's the gist of where it came from. Now, was it written specifically for an event that they held there? There are stories of Queen Elizabeth visiting there and enjoying dancing there at different times, but tough to say. I mean, they had dancing there a lot, so probably at one point a song was commissioned for it or was written in honor of it for an event that was held there, and it was called None Such. Now, None Such is just a well, I guess I should tell you that it was why it was destroyed, because after Henry, it passed to different lords who appreciated hunting, I suppose. But eventually, Charles II gave it to his mistress, Barbara Castlemaine, and she had what could be described as expensive tastes and a gambling problem. And eventually, her debts mounted to an extreme level, and it was time to liquidate. And it was quickly discovered that they would make more money by destroying the entire palace, selling all the elements of it as much as they could, and selling the land in piecemeal. Boy, does that sound like modern real estate, or does it not? Yeah, and unfortunately, that's what happened. I'm sure a lot of historians still lose sleep over that to this day. It's really a shame. Some of the elements inside are found in buildings that were erected in the 1600s in the area. Like there's a chapel fairly close to there that has some of the wood carvings inside. Because yeah, it was discount centers, like all this great artwork for sale. So yeah. Yes. Chris is asking about Sherwood, and yes, I will be going there. So that happens. And yeah, and pay attention, Chris, because you're the one that hounded me about music, and this is for you. So pay attention. Okay, now let's go ahead and jump on this and say the sheet music right here, none such. Now, some of you may not be able to read sheet music very well. If you can't, okay, so be it. But I wanted to go ahead and include that in there just in case you could look at it. And I want to include the chords. And here, let's go ahead and break in the laser pointer since I have it. You can see some of the chords here. D minor and C minor are the only chords. I'm sorry, D minor and C are the only chords. Easy chords. You can play them on guitar, mandolin, or ukulele. They're very easy chords on all three. So easy to follow. Now, let's go ahead and just jump in and go ahead and play it through real quick. It's usually played at around 100 to 110 beats per minute. I'm going to play it a lot slower than that. A little faster than the really slow, but if you play it between 50 and 60 beats per minute, it kind of sounds like a dirge. So a little faster than that, but we'll go through there here. Let's see. And that's the first line. And then you just repeat that line. Then you go to the second line and go to the first ending, the one with the number 1 on it. Then you repeat that again, but don't play the first ending, you go to the second. And that's none such. See, hopefully that came through okay and didn't sound too crazy with music. I tried to tweak the sound a little bit on that. Yeah, excellent, Janine. Yeah, try it out. I mean, I put the sheet music here so that you could try it out and play. And it should work fine for the violin. These are regular notes, so anything should work. Just learning the notes. But yeah, you've probably heard this tune before at a fair, if you got there. Now let's see. Let's take a quick look at this a little bit, and you'll see that it's very repetitive. It is one of the most basic melodies that at a fair. I mean, it's kind of crazy because you'll notice that it just kind of repeats. Normally you'd have, for an A part, you'd have 8 measures. And this has 4 that are repeated because it just repeats the same thing again and again. So you have the first part that goes through, and then boom, it just repeats. So pretty standard. And then you'll notice the second part is mostly the exact same as the first part, except they lower the notes by a few notes. And that's it. It's playing the same melody, just a bit lower. And then they kind of go in the second measure here of the B part to play the exact same thing, but then the last note is changed to match the next part that is lower. And then, of course, the fourth measure is the exact same. So really, we're kind of talking about 6 measures of actual notes you need to learn, and then the rest is repeated. That's it. It's pretty simple. They changed the second ending over here just to kind of make it that more solemn ending, to just kind of say, hey, this is an ending, by the way. Now, it's a habit to normally play this about 3 times through, or double that and do it 6 times through, something like that. Or you can go crazy and do 9, but usually groups of 3 is how you do it. I'm going to go ahead and play it a little faster now. So this is normally how fast it goes. So you can kind of see. And there we go. So yeah, pretty simple tune, really. Hopefully you can work on that and learn it if you are musicians or just want to give it a shot. But you can also just play the chords because they are easy chords and play along. So something to try out. Excellent, excellent. please do. And yeah, you can just take a screenshot of that and use it as sheet music if you want. It should look pretty clean and clear on, well, on a cell phone, the notes are probably a little too small. On a tablet, a laptop, or definitely a TV, it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be large and clear. And it's probably going to look a little cleaner on YouTube because it is a higher resolution. And this, and if there's interest, I can also, yeah, post the graphic, just a JPEG image of it, if you want to. Just, yeah, request that in the comments, and if you want, we can post that. It's not a problem. Probably just should. Oh, wow, really? It sure, yeah. I mean, it's a very nice, lively, innocent thing. When I said it could sounded like a dirge, I wasn't kidding, because if you do it really slow like this, very mellow, right? Kind of a little on the sad side. Now, okay. Now, this was a popular tune, and of course, being in the first Playford book and lasting for several editions, it was pretty much a mainstay song of the 1600s. Think Chicken Dance. Kind of like that. It was just one of those that everybody knew, everybody liked. It was simple to play, so all the musicians knew it. It was a fun dance that was not too hard, so all the dancers knew it, and it was a go. So yes, very, very nice. But I know it's already after 7:40. I knew this would be a long episode. They also included lyrics in the this was wow. About 50 years ago, they came up with lyrics. This was in California, not too far from where the first Ren Fair was. And a group of people, Glenn Turner and his friends, were out at his parents' place in Mill Valley, California, near San Francisco, and they were dancing and playing this music. And they were commenting that, wow, lyrics would go really well with this. Well, Glenn's mother was a published poet, so he got with her to write lyrics for it. And she could not play a song to save her life. She was musically bad, let's just say it. So she put it together based on him just tapping the rhythm out again and again for her until she got it, and she came out with some lyrics. Now, the original ones she came up with, they've changed and evolved a little bit because rhythmically they're a little off, but they're still very good. The sentiment is good, and the lyrics are, "Oh, she will bring the buds in spring and dance among the flowers. In summer's heat, her kisses are sweet. She sings in leafy bowers. She cuts the cane, she gathers the grain. When fruits of fall surround her, her bones grow old and wintry cold. She wraps her cloak around her." And when I first heard it back in 1999, the lyrics had changed a little bit to kind of fit better lyrically and melodically. It worked better with the rhythm. So the version I heard that I prefer, honestly, is, "And she shall bring the birds in spring and dance among the flowers. In summer's heat her kisses sweet, they fall from leafy bowers. She cuts the grain and harvests corn, the kiss of fall surrounds her. The days grow old and winter cold, she draws her cloak around her." And you just keep that up and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, and it's fun. Usually you play the melody first, then sing that twice, and those are your 3 times through. So it works. I'll go ahead and post the lyrics and the graphic of the sheet music in the comments here after the show. So something to look forward to. And so yeah, hopefully that was everything you wanted and more. I try. It's always about the little things. Anyway, we are so running late today, so let's go ahead and jump over to let's just jump over to the Faire map. I'm not even gonna go with the intro to it. Let's just go. There are only 4 fairs, so we can jump on that and talk about them. So no problem there. Yeah, let's see. We have starting over on the east coast of Florida, we have the Treasure Coast Pirate Fest in Fort Pierce, Florida. This is only one weekend, so just this weekend. Then over on the west coast of Florida, we have the Florida Renaissance Festival still going on in Deerfield Beach. And it's weekend 2 out of 7. The theme is Barbarians and Dragons, a roaring battle. So that's going to be interesting to see how they pull that off in scenario, but never boring. Okay, then going over to Louisiana, we have the Acadiana Renaissance Fete in Opelousas. Oh, no, sorry, Opelousas, Louisiana. It is the last weekend, and it is Mardi Gras themed. I mean, it's February in Louisiana, so of course it's Mardi Gras themed. Then we're going over to the Arizona Renaissance Festival in Apache Junction, Arizona. This is weekend 2 out of 9, and the theme is Renaissance and Romance. And Saturday is Deaf Awareness Day. So it's always nice when they do special events like that at fairs, and I'm always warmed by how many fairs actually do that. So good for them. All right. Okay. So we are back. Woo! That was close. So okay, I'm glad you liked that feature. Thank you. I'll be doing that once a month as the Renaissance Tune of the Month, and probably, I don't know, at this point, probably at the beginning of each month is how I'm going to approach that, but I'll try to give as much information as I can and make it easy for you to learn a new tune every month. So definitely, I look forward to, over this month, hearing about how your endeavor is to try to learn that on your instruments and see what you think. Because this is a classic, and learning this, well, let's just say you'll be ready to jump into some tune playing at Ren Fair anytime you like. Yes, you're totally right, Elisha. They do have some really cool events. So, okay, glad you like it. And let's jump out of here before we start getting after 8 o'clock, because time is fleeting, as they say. So thanks again for joining me, and I look forward to next week and seeing you because, well, what can I say? Life isn't always fair, but with us, it's a fair life. So take care. See you soon.